This story begins with the Adderall. I am referring to the pills that entered my life, as they did so many lives, when I was 18 years old, and stayed lodged there until I was 30. These pills seemed to offer me pure, distilled attention anytime I needed it, to compensate for whatever I imagined my deficiencies in that department to be. And, like any love story, I remember everything about the moment it began. In 2000, I was a freshman at Brown University. One night, still in our first term, I'd come to complain to a friend about the situation in which I found myself, an essay due the following afternoon on a book I had yet to read. All around us, her clothes were strewn messily on her dorm room floor. "Do you want an Adderall?" she asked. "I can't stand them. They make me want to stay up all night doing cartwheels in the hall." Could there be a more enticing description? From a ball of tin foil, she pulled out a single pill, the deep bright blue of a cartoon sky. My hand shot out to receive it. I had come there merely to vent, but I left with my first Adderall, a medication prescribed for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD, a condition I knew nothing about, except for some vague awareness of classmates in high school who had needed extra time when taking their exams. At the time my friend unfurled her tinfoil ball, Adderall had been on the market roughly 4 years, but it was brand new to me. An hour later, I was in the basement of the Rock, our nickname for the library, hunkered down in the absolute quiet room, in a state of ecstasy. The world fell away. It was only me, locked in the passionate embrace of the book in front of me and the thoughts I was having about it, which tumbled out of nowhere and built into what seemed a pile of riches. When dawn came to Providence, I was hunched over in the grubby lounge of my dormitory, typing my last fevered perceptions, barely aware that outside the window, the sky was turning pink. I was alone in my secret new world, and that aloneness was part of the great intoxication. I needed for nothing and no one. I didn't know it then, but it was actually in Providence, Rhode Island, nearly 70 years before, that Benzedrine, an amphetamine-based precursor to Adderall, had been given one of its first test runs. In 1937, at the Emma Pendleton Bradley Home for Disturbed and Difficult Children, Dr. Charles Bradley performed the first of 2 experiments to test the effects of Benzedrine on children. The pills were created as decongestants, but were also known to boost moods in adults. Dr. Bradley was surprised by the results. The kids calmed down, became less rowdy and raucous, and seemed to gobble up their school lessons with relish. They became, in other words, rapturously, singularly focused. Like those difficult children before me, I would experience this same sensation again and again over the next 4 years, whenever I could get my hands on Adderall, which was frequently, but not, I felt, frequently enough. There were ways of getting more, each of them shrouded in a thick ethical dinginess. For instance, the campus black market, where the ADHD kids sold off their prescriptions at exorbitant markups. The heiress whose pills I swiped while attending her numerous parties. Later, the barter system, wherein I helped with other people's essays in exchange for their meds. Quickly, my Adderall hours became the most precious hours of my life, far too precious for the absolute quiet room. I now needed to locate the most remote desk in the darkest, most neglected corner of the upper-level stacks, tucked farthest away from the humming campus life outside. That life no longer interested me. Instead, what mattered, what compelled, were the hours I spent in isolation, poring over, for instance, Immanuel Kant's thoughts on the sublime. I read and reread the lines. The text was difficult, but my attention was now unflagging, bionic. The single greatest impediment to comprehension had been removed. The Kantian enigma clicked into place.